Meeting is now called to order. Good evening, everyone. My name is Alex Heath, and I'm the Mayor Pro Tem in the City of Fairburn on this council. As both Mayor Avery and Councilmember Hudson are precluded from sitting on this impeachment panel, I will be presiding tonight and am joined by three remaining members of the City Council. We will call this meeting to order. In order to accommodate the attorney for Ms. Hudson, he cannot arrive until 6:30, so we're going to postpone the starting of the meeting until then. Thank you. The meeting is now called to order. Ms. Ray, would you read the roll call, please?
The Honorable Linda J. Davis.
Present.
The Honorable Hattie Portis Jones.
Present.
The Honorable Ulysses J. Smallwood.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem, you have a quorum.
Thank you. We'll all rise now for invocation. Father, in the name of Jesus, we come to you and we ask that everything be done in order and according to your will. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, may I please have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? Thank you. The ayes have it. Okay. As we proceed to the regular agenda, the statement of process and burden of proof is where we're at now. So what, at the outset, let me caution everyone that we're going to maintain decorum and professionalism this evening. These are serious matters and deserve to be addressed accordingly. So for the parties, council, and the public, I ask that you treat the proceedings with respect and do not act disruptively. We have a court reporter present who will be transcribing this hearing, so it is very important that we only have one person speak at once. Our agenda set forth the process and order of proceedings we will be using tonight. Our hearing will be conducted as set forth in the Code of Ordinances and applicable Georgia law, and as laid out in the agenda we just adopted. With that, we will now entertain opening statements. Each side has 15 minutes. We will hear from Mayor Avery first, and then Councilwoman Hudson next. Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening.
Members of the board and council. My name is Attorney Charles Bryant, and I represent Mayor Mario Avery in these proceedings. We appreciate the opportunity to appear before you at this time and go forward with the impeachment hearing of Councilmember Hudson. At the onset, let me state clearly, the mayor and the city clerk have acted lawfully, transparently, and in full compliance with the city charter, Georgia's open records, and the Open Meetings Act, and ethical standards that guide public service. The allegations that have brought us here today are supported by facts and/or law, and they show a long and troubling pattern of harassment, mischaracterization, and personal targeting of the city's clerk and by extension, the mayor and members of the city council administrative team. Since late 2024, Councilmember Hudson has engaged in a sustained campaign of antagonism towards the clerk. What began as a routine disagreement over an agenda placement escalated into formal accusations of ethical and legal violations. The documented records show, one, multiple emails, demands for documents that are explicitly protected by statute, repeated threats and legal action, false public accusations of impropriety, and a persistent refusal to accept the legal interpretation provided by a lawyer, the city attorney. Councilmember Hudson has claimed violations of the Georgia Open Records Act, specifically regarding to the access to executive session material, yet the law is unambiguous. Executive session meetings are confidential and may only be disclosed under court order, not a unilateral demand of an individual council member. The clerk provided all documents she was legally authorized to release, and the city attorney confirmed that position in writing on multiple occasions. I will point out again, the city has an attorney who can be held liable, who has given advice repeatedly that this was okay and it was ignored. When those legal explanations were provided, City Council Member Hudson escalated further, filing complaints, including one with the Georgia Attorney General's office. That complaint was fully reviewed and dismissed with no finding of wrongdoing. Instead of accepting those findings, she expanded her accusations to include claims of defamation, retaliation, and hostile work environment, even suggesting that routine administrative actions were part of a conspiracy against her. This behavior has gone far beyond the realm of a legitimate oversight. It has created a toxic and destabilizing environment in City Hall, disrupted the clerk's ability to perform her duties, and placed undue pressure on the city itself. The situation became so severe that in July 2025, the clerk filed an EEOC complaint alleging harassment, retaliation, and discrimination. Before proceeding further, it is important to address the record of September the 30th, 2025 ethics hearing. Councilmember Hudson did not appear at the hearing, nor did her counsel. Roughly 28 minutes before the hearing began, the city received an email from Attorney Williams' counsel for Councilmember Hudson, stating that he believed the hearing was scheduled for October the 24th, 2025. However, the email he referenced stated only that the hearing was to be held on or before October the 24th, 2025, not on that date. The formal notice establishing September the 30th, 2025 as a hearing date was properly issued, distributed, and acknowledged in accordance with the city procedures and applicable law. Despite this, neither council member Hudson nor her counsel sought clarification, requested a continuance, or provided notice of any scheduling conflict before the hearing date. The Ethics Board therefore proceeded properly, received evidence and testimony, and completed its review. Councilmember Hudson's absence was the result of her own failure to confirm or respond, not any procedural or administrative fault on the part of the city or the board. The record reflects that due process was proper, notice was satisfied. That is the end of our opening statement. So, thank you very much.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
Good evening, how are you?
Good evening.
Good evening.
I appreciate you all starting at 6:30. I do, to give me time to get over here. I appreciate that. My name's Mario Williams, and I represent City Councilman Samantha Hudson. I don't really want to get into, because we just talked a while about the whole issue of September 30th. I'm here to talk right now, deal in the present moment with this issue. And so what I would like to point out, and I want to put on record some procedural things that I think that I would love for you all to consider. The notice that was sent on August 6, 2025, I'll give you a moment to pull that up. That it says notice of EEO complaint and cease and desist directive. Okay. If you go down to the paragraph, and it cites the city personnel policy and procedures manual, it actually invokes an investigation pursuant to the manual. But it also says, and this is very important when you talk about contract interpretation, ordinance interpretation, standard interpretation principles, although, and this is an admission by the city, although elected officials such as yourself are expressly excluded from policy coverage under Section 2-53. Now, our contention to start this off is the city already admitted that the personnel policy doesn't cover the conduct of City Councilwoman Hudson. If it doesn't, if the city admits in a written document, and I want you to note this, it's signed by the mayor, that her conduct isn't covered, then the harassment policy in the policy can't cover her conduct regarding alleged harassment. City Councilman Hudson is an elected official. I'm a former elected official from neighboring city down in Clarkston. And I'm going to talk about this executive session situation also. So point number one, and this is going to end up, if you all vote in favor of impeachment, we're going to end up doing this on the Court of Appeals for a few years, is that you cannot expressly state that Councilman Hudson is not governed by the personnel policy and then try to govern her by the personnel policy and instigate an investigation pursuant to the personnel policy. That's point number one. Point number two, there's been a big to-do of saying that she violated because she published this particular notice and complaint publicly. Now, I disagree with my colleague, who's very articulate, and I mean that sincerely, about what he said about executive session. This is my experience with executive sessions. You can't prohibit somebody from doing something, especially expressing her right to talk about an issue prior to it being put on an agenda. Point number one is that when she, I think it was April 9th, let me make sure I get my dates right. I think it was, no, August 7th, she said, let me be clear, I will not comply with any directives that unlawfully restrict my ability to perform my duties as an elected official. The policy doesn't govern her. The city admitted that in writing and decided to go forward anyways. Point number two, they say August 9th, public disclosure of a violation of confidentiality. No, it wasn't. On August 9, 2025, there was no agenda published that said this issue was going into executive session. In fact, and I want to read exactly what Mario Avery's letter said on August 6, 2025, even though in this particular other letter on official ethics complaint, even though that says, because this is a pending personnel matter and any discussion must be conducted only in a duly convened executive session, not in public meetings. That's not what the August 6th letter said. The August 6th letter said, and this is actually true, the appropriate forum for any discussion of this issue is duly convened, closed executive sessions, the appropriate forum, not the only forum. Until, our argument is this, and it's real simple because we don't need to be here all night. We're either, you're going to vote for it and we're going to appeal it, but our argument is this. Until that issue hits an agenda to be voted on, and that's one. I could also argue until it's voted on to go into executive session, that's point two. And I can also argue, and as we all know, as me being a former city council member and most of you all being a current one, once it's in executive session, it's a misdemeanor crime, and you sign off on that to talk about what was discussed in the executive session. Contrary to what my colleague said, nothing made it to an executive session. Nothing made it to a vote to go into executive session, and nothing was put on an agenda designating this as an executive session prior to her exercising her right to choose what she thought was the appropriate forum to discuss a complaint lodged against her. Now, my colleague also said, and made a kind of a big deal about this, he said, well, she went to the AG. She then said retaliation and access, but that's all First Amendment. I do this all day long. That's all First Amendment access to court rights. You cannot take an action against a resident because they threaten a lawsuit. You cannot take, and then you're really going to get in trouble if you actually take an action against a resident for filing a lawsuit against you. Going to the AG was well within the purview of her First Amendment rights. Actually alleging a violation of law was well within her purview of constitutional rights, and alleging hostile work environment is well within the purview of her constitutional rights. You can't take action here today saying that because you did those things, you caused disruption, because that's what my colleague wants you to believe. hey, we don't like, see, this is what the Constitution's all about. We don't like what you're doing. We don't like you threatening lawsuits. We don't like you filing lawsuits, so we're going to discipline you. That's called First Amendment retaliation. So to wrap this up, I'm not sure how you all are going to get past the express language of a city admission, because I would say this is a city admission. It's on a document, city letterhead, signed by the mayor that says, although elected officials such as yourself, talking about Ms. Hudson, are expressly, that means word for word, excluded from policy coverage. So how are you applying a policy that you actually in the same letter say she's not even covered by? And this is how they tried to get around it. And this is where I disagree with my colleague about talking about lawyers and interpretations. The starting point, and a lot of lawyers in this room understand this, for statutory construction, construction of contracts, is the express language of what you're dealing with. If that is clear, you go no further. So for them to say, and this is what I really disagree with, for them to say, although elected officials such as yourself are expressly excluded from policy coverage under Section 2-53, although now they go on to do what they want to do, the policy nonetheless. See, now you're saying, I don't care what it expressly says. I don't care if I'm going to acknowledge that you're not covered by the policy. Nonetheless, protects all employees. You're right. It protects all employees that are covered by the policy. So when you take that in consideration, when you take into consideration, and this is our argument, and I won't go any further than this, not on an agenda as a protected issue, as a private issue, not on the, wasn't voted to go into executive session. I'm sorry, I just lost it for a minute. Not on the agenda as an executive session. Not voted on to go for an executive session. And not discussed in executive session prior to her actually making the comment on her webpage that says, hey, look what they're doing to me. Now, because it's obvious, I understand it. You know, I was on a city council and there was a lot of friction. We had Ted Terry, we had Beverly Burks, the current mayor. I served with her, and I understand when you get this internal conflict and you don't like what other people are doing, it can get there can be a lot of animus. But you still got to abide by the rules and the law. And you can't punish her because she decided to go to the AG's office or file a lawsuit or threaten a lawsuit. And you can't make a policy cover her when in writing you actually say it expressly doesn't cover you. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have the complainant's case. You have 1 hour, sir.
First, everybody's here.
Yes.
These are the documents that are in that notebook. This to you. These are done by the certified.
Oh, this is the notebook you gave.
Yeah, that's the notebook, yeah. So I'm introducing these documents and the evidence. Every panel has a copy.
Got it. Got it.
Sure.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, I would suggest that without objection from opposing counsel, those are offered, then they are deemed admitted.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
So let me see.
Attorney Brand, do you have multiple copies of this? I want to make, all right,
No. It's in everybody's folder.
I want to make sure the court reporter has the original.
The booklet.
August the 6th, 2025, City Clerk Brenda James filed an equal employment opportunity complaint with HR Director naming Councilmember Hudson. Letter confirmed the complaint was proper and actionable under the section 2-50.6A of the City Personnel Policy and Procedural Manual. Ms. Hudson was advised that retaliation, direct or indirect, against Ms. James was strictly prohibited under section 2-50.6B and could result in additional consequences. She was explicitly instructed, because this is a pending personnel matter, any discussion must be conducted only in duty convened executive session, not in public meeting. August the 7th, 2025, in a rebuttal letter at 12:16 p.m., Ms. Hudson stated, "Let me be clear. I will not comply with any directive that unlawfully restricts my ability to perform my duties as an elected official." Later that day, city attorney, in an email sent to Ms. Hudson, and full council member confirmed that the mayor August 6th directive was legally appropriate and fully aligned with the city policy. Compliance was necessary to protect employees' rights, prevent retaliation, and reduce legal liability. The EEOC matter that the city clerk filed on August the 6th, 2025, would be discussed in the August 11th, 2025 executive session and would not be addressed publicly. On August the 9th, 2025, 2 days after her rebuttal, despite clear directives, Ms. Hudson posted an article on public forum, Fairburn.com, titled, "When Transparency is Replaced with Silencing Tactics." The post made direct public reference to the pending EEOC complaint. Information she has been specifically instructed was confidential and to be discussed solely in executive session. August the 11th, 2025, official compliant filed an email to Council Hudson that the process of what we are going through now is officially starting. Deputy Clerk noticed Councilwoman Hudson on the ethics complaint and provided a copy of the complaint. Investigation committee convened by Mayor Pro Tem Heath. On August the 19th, 2025, the investigative committee convened to section 2-35H of the City of Fairburn Code of Ethics. At the meeting, the committee voted to forward the ethics complaint to the City of Fairburn Ethics Board for a hearing and final determination. August the 27th, 2025, email from Deputy Clerk sent to Ms. Hudson stated investigative committee referred matter to the Ethics Board. The email notice included the notice of referral, the official ethics complaint, copy of the overnight notice mailed to the parties, and chapter to the city ordinance. She was advised, Ms. Hudson, the Ethics Board's hearing would take place on or before October 24th because per section 2-35I2B, hearing had to occur within 60 days of August 27, 2025 referral to the Ethics Board. On August the 29th, 2025, City Council Hudson and Mayor received the same notice and package email on 8/27/2025 via overnight delivery and signed it herself. That is, where's the? So what I want to do, we have an exhibit of that. I'm going to give everybody a copy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
you have one for the court reporter?
Yeah, where is?
Or she can have mine after you're done with it.
Okay, Councilmember Hudson, lawyer received the notice on 9/30/2025, hearing date, 11 days before the hearing. September the 30th, 2025, Ethics Board hearing convened, and Ms. Hudson and her lawyer were a no-show. Ethics Board recommended impeachment, and let's see. I also want to introduce into evidences what is going to be, you have that exhibit you have now is Exhibit 3. This is Exhibit 1. This is also in your notes. You see,
Counsel, if you'll hold on for a second. Counselor, do you have any objection to the admission of this as an exhibit?
thank you.
Without objection, I will recommend its admission.
So moved.
Well, okay, so I think we've already introduced everything in that pack we gave. Okay, we've already done it. Thank you very much. I think you all have it. It's in the package. So, I think I stopped at, on October the 13th, 2025, in this council meeting, recommended to impeach and remove Samantha Hudson from office by a 5-1 vote. The one vote that went against it was her voting in her place. Notice of said impeachment trial announced in city council meeting and hearing date set forth on 10/30/25. October the 17th, she was served notoriously, because there's an issue about the service and how she was served. She was served notoriously. The notice was left. That means the notice was left because her daughter wouldn't take it. You leave it on the door. That is a legal form of service. It was served, so it was left. And then in October the 19th, 2025, she was served by the same process server Hudson had used to serve the city. October the 29th, 2025, at a TRO hearing to stop the impeachment, she admitted in open court she and her lawyer were both aware of the 9/30/2025 ethics board hearing, and she admitted that she was in town on 9/30/2025, but left town again after just getting back. That is my case.
All right, the respondent's case, you have 1 hour, sir.
You may.
Honorable Mayor Mario Avery as a witness.
I think we decided we were going to use that chair as the witness chair next to the court.
Yes, sir.
You want me to swear him? Okay. I've never done that before. I don't want to
Mr. Mayor, will you swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
No, different circumstances in meeting, but nice to meet you, Honorable Mayor Avery. Do you know Samantha Hudson?
I know she serves on the council.
Oh, okay.
Council.
And did you sign a letter dated August 6, 2025, notice of EEO complaint and cease and desist directive?
I did.
Did you read that letter prior to signing it?
I did.
Okay. Then you do know that it says although elected officials such as yourself are especially excluded from the policy coverage under Section 2-50.3. You know that it said that.
Yes,
You knew that it said that prior to signing it.
yes.
Did you submit the actual, I know you submitted a lot of things. And I can let you look at this, but did you ever submit for the review of the honorable panel, city council members and so forth, the actual city's personnel policy and procedures manual?
I don't remember me submitting it to her, but I'm sure they had it.
Let me refresh you.
Okay. Okay,
Give you 1 second.
okay.
You got an index page on the front page?
Yeah, sure it is. Okay, yeah.
Now that I've tried to refresh your memory, did you submit a certified copy of the city's personnel policy and procedures manual that's referenced your letter dated August 6, 2025?
I believe I did, yes, sir.
Okay, well, let me read it.
Okay.
City Ordinance, Chapter 2, Administration, Agenda, Hearing Exhibits, Hearing Transcript, Verdict Findings, Recommendation, Resolution Charges, Hearing Date, City Ordinance, Chapter 35, Law Enforcement, Police Service of Charges, Hearing Date, Private Process Charges, Hearing Date, City Charter and Section 7 Amendment Number 9820. Did you hear me call out at all the city's personnel policy and procedures manual?
I didn't hear you just then.
Okay. So it's a fact that the alleged, the investigation that was triggered and discussed in your August 6, 2025 letter was actually made pursuant to the city's personnel policy and procedures manual, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, if it's true, hypothetical for you, Honorable Mayor, if it's true that Ms. Hudson's not governed by the policy manual, her conduct's not governed by the policy manual, then how do you trigger an investigation about her conduct which is not governed by the policy manual?
The document I have actually literally states council members being governed about confidential information. I'm actually trying to find it.
Okay, but
Code section.
Okay, we'll get to confidential information.
Yes, sir.
Is one thing,
Okay?
but isn't it true that you used the policy manual to trigger an investigation of Hudson?
I used the policy to state why I had a problem with what she was doing, yes.
Okay, did you all present any evidence that would contradict today? Did you all present any evidence that would contradict the actual admission made in this August 6, 2025 letter that says that City Councilman Hudson is expressly excluded from the policy coverage of the city's policy manual? Did you present any evidence?
Not that I'm aware of that. Our evidence actually is in accordance with what governs her.
Okay, so let's talk about the executive session. At the time that City Councilwoman Hudson made this public notice about the investigation of her and all the stuff, had there been a city agenda with this issue on it as an executive session issue?
I don't remember that right offhand, but I'm sure we didn't do it in violation of the code. I'm sure of that.
So you don't know?
I don't remember right offhand, but I'm pretty sure that it was in accordance with our policy.
Did you present any evidence today that at the time that, because it's your burden, not mine.
Okay.
So did you present any evidence that at the time that City Councilman Hudson made these alleged disclosures, public disclosures of this investigation, that a city agenda existed that had this issue put on it for executive session? Did you put on any evidence to demonstrate that to this panel?
The information would have actually been on the agenda with the actual city attorney's office.
Okay. So did you present the agenda today?
The agenda, actually, me and my attorney, yes, I guess you can say yes.
There's an agenda that had it as an executive session. Where is that? Could you find that for me?
I don't have it with me. I don't have that with with me, sir.
Okay, does your attorney have it?
I'm not sure.
Okay. What date did you all discuss this issue in executive session?
It would have been the following next council meeting after, it was, I guess, actually, following council meeting as relates to the issue of the complaint.
So this actually says, public disclosure violation, and I'm just gonna read this to you.
Okay.
It's a little bit, I'm trying to be a little bit informal. Public disclosure in violation of confidentiality occurred on August 9th, 2025. Do you agree with that?
August the 9th?
2025. Is that the date that, would you agree that that's the date that Ms. Hudson made this public disclosure?
Don't have that with me, but I think you're right.
Okay. Was there a city council meeting prior to that August 9, 2025 date that discussed this particular issue in executive session?
I don't think so.
Okay. So, is it fair to say that Ms. Hudson's alleged disclosure, violating rules allegedly, happened prior to an agenda being put out that placed it as an executive session issue?
I guess so. Yes, sir.
Okay, so then that means it happened prior to it actually being voted on to go in executive session.
Yeah, but our code is real clear about what you
Okay,
can and can't talk
but-
about.
But then it also happened prior to it actually happened in executive session, correct?
And when you say,
Now, tell us what code, we're gonna leave the whole issue that she's not even governed by the very document you used to start up the investigation.
Okay.
Tell me where in the code that it says that she cannot, she's absolutely prohibited before something goes into executive session to discuss it.
in this case, it talks about under section 2-35, paragraph C3, prohibits disclosure of confidential information by virtue of a position, official position. Section 2-35, paragraph C11, prohibits disclosure of confidential information without approval of the governing body.
Okay, so let me ask you this then. Where does it say on your letter or anywhere that it's a confidential matter?
It says it's confidential as a result of the code that I quoted.
Okay, so that's your argument.
Well, that's partial about, yes.
Okay. Now, you know that Ms. Hudson went to the Attorneys General to file a complaint, correct?
I was aware of that, yes.
Now, just based on your knowledge and experience, does she have a right to do that under the U.S. Constitution?
Did she have a right what?
Does she have a right to go to the Attorney General and file a complaint?
I'm sure she sent an official complaint. That's my understanding, yes.
But let me ask you a different way. Is there anything in the city charter or any city rules or regulations that prohibit her from going to the AG and filing a complaint?
I'm not a lawyer. You'll have to ask our city attorney.
Okay.
Our city attorney that.
Well, you know, you're charged as the mayor with knowing the city charter, correct? Okay, so did the city charter prohibit her from doing that?
I'm not sure at that moment,
Okay,
at this very moment.
okay. Did the city charter prohibit her from voicing her particular belief that she was experiencing a hostile work environment?
No, it doesn't stop her from free speech, you know, free for speech, you know.
Okay. Well, and in your particular letter, I just want to make one last point on record. August 6, 2025. You have that letter in front of you, Mr. Mayor?
If you'll look at the white binder, the one we created, it's behind the tab Exhibit A.
Yeah, actually. Okay, go ahead. Okay,
I'll do.
okay. Okay, sir.
Tell me in this, just go ahead and look at the 2 pages.
Okay.
Tell me where you signed this document. You signed it, correct, on page 2? Is that your signature?
Yes, sir.
All right. Tell me where it says the only place that you can discuss this is in an executive session.
doesn't.
I'm sorry, could you say that again?
It does not.
Okay. All right, that's all I have.
Okay.
Okay, next would impeachment counsel and, oh, I thought you said you were done.
That's all you had for the mayor.
Okay, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I misinterpreted it the same way.
So, Mayor, do you have a city attorney?
Yes, I do.
What is your relationship with that attorney?
He's very credible.
Do you go to him for advice on how to proceed with matters?
I do.
Did you go to that attorney, to the city attorney, concerning this matter?
I did.
Did you express concern about what was going on and what's being discussed here before this council this evening?
I did.
Were you advised on the things that you did that is a part of this hearing? Were you advised by the city attorney that those things were appropriate after he researched it and looked into them, and that they were legal to go about doing what you did the way you did it?
I did.
I'm going to object to further discussion about the mayor's confidential privileged conversations in his official capacity
I'll withdraw.
with the city attorney. I mean, I think, given the four members of the
Well, I agree with-
council,
I agree with
they
you.
understand the relationship between the city attorney and the city.
Okay, well, I don't have any response, I accept that, but let me just rephrase the question.
Okay, sir.
You rely on the city attorney. You rely on the city attorney for advice in matters such as this.
Absolutely.
Did he explain to you why it was legal, procedurally, and lawfully otherwise to go for it the way you did?
He indicated that all my efforts or what we were trying to do was in accordance with the law, and it was written, if I believe correct.
And you were shown at different points, and I know you've heard arguments at different points about things that he shared with you about what the law stated that you had a right to do, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And do you remember doing anything outside of what you was advised by the city attorney that you could or could not do?
No, sir.
And it is you did answer, and I just want to be correct. He did advise you on this matter, on the proceedings leading up to where we are now, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I know you were asked a question about her disclosing confidential information, and he said you couldn't show him where she was not allowed to do that, correct?
Correct.
Can you show me where she's allowed to do it? Or is it up for interpretation? Does it specifically gives her permission to do what she did?
No,
Okay, so you were advised that she was wrong by city attorney, correct?
that's correct.
Okay, so that's an interpretation issue, but you was given that information by another attorney who you felt knew the statute and the codes, right?
That's correct.
And I guess just to point out, the only thing that you were asked was to tell the panel where she's allowed to disclose, where she's not allowed to disclose. I mean, either way, you don't know specifically a statute that says either way, one way or another, where she can or can't. You was just interpreting the statute as it was put forth. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Tell me about how the process you went through to get to the point where you filed what you did. Walk the panel through that.
I was already being aware of historic efforts to harass the city clerk. And so now, when I was made aware, it was a holiday, I was made aware that Ms. Hudson had actually posted information, a EEOC complaint on public, which I knew from being a mayor, that's a violation. Any EEOC information, that's just prohibited for you to put it out in the public. So as such, I actually took time and tried to write a draft and went through and drafted a letter, as you see in this case. I asked the city manager would he review it for me, just to make sure it was in accordance. And then I sent it to the city attorney and just said, in my efforts to address what I believe is a violation of the law of exposing EEOC complaint on the internet, I said, I sent it to the city attorney and said, I wanted to send this to Ms. Hudson. I need to know, is it legally sound? And he wrote back, he told me, yes, it is legally sound.
No further questions.
Just to get a timeline correct. So there's two issues going on. One is sparking the investigation, August 6th, sent a letter out. Spark the investigation pursuant to the personnel policies, correct?
That's my understanding. Yeah.
Okay, so there was no publication of this EEO and all the stuff that you just said at the August 6th date or prior, correct?
It wasn't public, no.
Right, so one issue is the legitimacy of even governing Ms. Hudson, Citywoman Hudson, by a policy that the city already admitted doesn't govern her. So that's one separate issue. And then the other issue is you take umbrage and filed a complaint saying that when on August 9th, she did disclose this information, you say that also, in addition to the harassment, was a violation, correct? I just want to make sure we get the record straight because there was a little confusion up there. Now, I hear a lot of talk about directing somebody, that City Councilwoman Hudson didn't obey directives. So, do you believe, as mayor, you have the authority to tell City Councilman Hudson to direct her not to do something, even if it doesn't comply with the personnel policies?
I have the right, as the strong mayor form of government, which is unusual for this area other than the city of Atlanta, I think. I have the right to advise her what is in violation and the legal exposure that her conduct has exposed this city to. I have that right.
So let's
You
make a
advise her.
distinction between advising and directing. Directing seems to imply commanding somebody. Advising is giving advice and saying, hey, I'm going to advise you on this because I think this is my opinion, but you take with it what you want, correct? Is that a fair distinction?
No, sir. You're playing on words. In my position, it was simply I advised and told her, here what you're doing is literally placing the city in liability in a liable state. And so it is my job to tell you. Now, whether you receive it, which you made it clear you would not receive it from me, you're going to abide by your rules. You were real clear writing with that. So, no, sir. Me trying to command her, I simply advised her what I would do to any other council member as relates to what I believe is potential liability.
You advised her about potential liability, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's all I have. I'd like to call,
Mayor, you can change tables. Thank you. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
I did.
Thank you.
how you doing, City Councilman Hudson?
Listen,
I'm gonna try my best to kind of stay within open-ended questions. This is not a cross-examination or leading question, so I'm gonna ask you some open-ended questions. And then you just answer them. Who is it that the city has accused you of harassing?
The city clerk,
Okay, and what is her name?
Brenda James.
Okay, and what is the conduct that you allegedly engaged in as far as the accusations of a harassment?
Requests for open records, requests for executive session minutes, requests for documents pertaining to financial documents, ARPA, contracts, financial records. I mean, just open records for nearly 2 years.
Okay, how many times did you request the documents from this particular?
To be specific, when I took office, January, I initiated an email in December of 2023 during orientation to get a list of items to bring me up to speed on what was going on in the city. When I took office, I received some documents from the city attorney, but there was some information that I needed to clarify in what I read. When I began to ask for the clarifying documents, this is where we started the contention from the mayor. I was thrown back by the mayor having me to request documents through him, the city manager, and all of council.
Now, let me ask you something. What, if any, personnel policy, even though it doesn't govern you, or code of ordinance, or anything that the mayor tell you authorize him to make you do your records request through him personally?
He sent an email. He uses the term that he's a strong mayor, and the city attorney supports that because Mayor Mario Avery is a strong mayor, that he gets to decide what documents elected officials get.
Okay. All right, and then let me ask you this, because I don't want to be up here all day, 2 years, trying to go over every time you contacted this person. But when was the last contact you had with her?
I would say early July.
Do you have like an email or?
Yeah, July 17th, without her knowledge or the mayor's knowledge, I contacted the city administrator and I requested that Brenda James no longer provide any clerical support for me because I was concerned about how I was being treated and was informed about some information from another county and an elected official about my name being used disparagingly while she was in the process of interviewing at Clayton County. She had resigned from Fairburn and sent a notice that she was going to retire. She rescinded that, and at the time that she rescinded it, it was a time where I received the information that there was some conversation in Clayton County about me. So in a respectful way to try to keep the drama down, I contacted the city administrator and asked if he will redirect anything that she will have to do for me to the deputy clerk. The mayor responded back saying that I don't get to control the day-to-day. I thought I was just trying to conflict resolution.
Were you trying to control the day?
No,
Was that your intent to control day-to-day?
no,
Whose job is it really to manage the day-to-day operation?
city manager,
That's right. Who was that?
Tony Phillips.
Okay. Now, just to kind of let you speak your piece, because we're in a public forum, why did you contact the AG?
I contacted the AG because there is a consistent pattern of the mayor and the attorney interfering with public records, asking for records. I stopped asking the mayor and council and putting it in a reply all. After a year, I had to step back and say, listen, if I'm going to advocate for equity in our processes, then everybody has to be accountable for the role that they do. The clerk is the record keeper. I should not have to go to the mayor, nor the city attorney, or the city manager, or have permission from council to vote on anything for me to review public records.
Okay. And then, as far as getting a response, did you ever, was there ever an instance where you did an open records request and you just didn't get a response?
I will request an email, and I was directed by the city attorney and the city manager to do open records requests.
Okay.
Prior to that, I understood by my former colleague, James Whitmore, that that was not the protocol, that we are elected officials. And more so, I know even more now, Georgia Constitution defines elected officials as trustees, which means we are entitled.
Okay, that's okay, but that's kind of like a legal interpretation debate. So let's just stick to this. Who did you who did you tell that you felt, or express to, that you felt like you were experiencing a hostile work environment?
I expressed that to the AG's office because during a council meeting, my colleague, Alex Heath, in a debate, began to stare me down to the point where he was redirected 3 times to stop by the mayor. On public view, it's all out there. I filed an ethics complaint against Alex Heath. The investigative committee met. They reviewed the evidence, played the evidence publicly, and went into a closed session. I was confused at that time. Why was a closed session needed? So I wanted to know more about how they got to where they arrived at the decision to throw away this complaint that was, to me, visibly proving that this hostility occurred.
Let me ask you something. Isn't it true that, you know, we all have like disagreements about the outcome? I have a disagreement about the outcome of what happened yesterday. But you gotta live with that. So are you prepared to just live with that? Just live with the outcome that, hey, the complaint got tossed?
That's it.
Okay, okay. All right, that's all I have.
Ma'am, I want to start where you kind of left off. You said, no, you're fine, you're fine. There it is. You said that, you talked about, so you have been having some problems, say, with the clerk, correct?
My issue was about the receipt of public records. That's it, that's all.
Did she ever express to you there's some information you weren't entitled to?
The mayor and the attorney expressed that I wasn't entitled to this information.
And you did file a complaint with the AG, correct?
Yes, I did.
It was dismissed, correct?
No, it was not that the complaint was dismissed. I'm glad you asked that question because I want to clarify. The complaint that was launched at the AG's office had several themes in it. One of the themes was spoliation of public records by Mario Avery, where he destroyed public records during a discovery hearing in June of 2024.
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
The second
You're
incident,
You're answering something I didn't ask you.
You told-
I'm asking you, did the Attorney General, did they dismiss your case?
the Attorney General closed the case after the attorney gave a response to the item of executive session.
Okay.
Because when they accepted the case, they excluded other items and referred me to the Fulton County District Attorney's Office.
So the question is, what did they do in
When
result-
Rory Starkey gave his answer, they closed the case.
Okay, so no determination or nothing you asked for from the Attorney General was granted to you?
They wanted to clarify.
You're saying what they wanted to do. I'm asking you what they did, ma'am.
After the clarification of the use of executive session for that day was given by the attorney, they closed it.
And what was the interpretation of the use of executive session?
I can't give interpretation. I can tell you exactly what happened.
No, how about telling me what they said? Not what you think happened, what they said in the letter response to you.
The email response to me from the AG's office said that they received, she forwarded me Rory's response, and they closed the case.
So they did nothing with the...
She forwarded a response to me, and they closed the case.
So let me just ask you this way. Did you get anything you asked for from the Attorney General?
Yes, I did get clarification.
Got clarification? Okay,
Yes.
well, good, all right. And they closed the case, and that's all you went to the Attorney General, not the city attorney, for clarification.
Oh, I went to the city attorney many times.
Okay, and so that's why you felt you had to go to the Attorney General?
Yes,
Did you get the clarification you wanted?
I did.
Okay, good. All right, no further questions. I have no further questions of this witness, but I will be calling a rebuttal. Thank you. No further questions.
Will you state your name for the record, please? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you.
Ms. James, state your full name.
Brenda James.
James, how long have you been working here at Fairburn?
For my second term, I've been here 3.5 years.
Talk about your first term.
I worked 6 years before here.
So combined total of 9 years. What are your duties and responsibilities?
I'm the city clerk. I am the keeper of the records. I run the council meetings, do the minutes, open records.
Is there a situation where you had a conflict? Was there ever a matter that came up where you and Ms. Hudson had a conflict, which got us here? Let me withdraw that. Explain to the council members and everybody, what has been your experience with Councilmember Hudson, and what has got us to this point?
Councilmember Hudson, ever since she's come in, we had some issues. But actually, all of it mainly started when there was the ethics complaint filed by Councilmember Hudson on Councilmember Heath. And after that, she asked me for some records. She wanted the executive session, and what she sent me was that consistency in complaints. Her following complaints were consistency in handling ethics complaints, access to meeting minutes and records, potential violations of open meetings. She requested a response by the close of the day detailing what and where she could get these items. And she said transparency and adherence to legal protocols are vital for maintaining public trust. That was on March the 17th. On March the 19th, I received another email from Councilmember Hudson requesting the following. She wanted the minutes, transcripts, video footage, executive session policy, which I sent her each one of those. I sent her a copy of the minutes, the action minutes, the affidavit for the closed meeting, and the letter for the complaint dismissal. I did not send her the executive session minutes. On March the 24th,
Why did you not send her that?
because the executive session, she was not in executive session, and executive session minutes are only open to the public if they go to the courts. I did send her the action minutes, which detailed what was in executive session.
Okay.
On March the 24th, I received an email from Councilmember Hudson once again stating that she was entitled to those minutes and urged me to follow the legal framework.
Excuse me, so I want to ask you a question before you go on. Had you already sent her the information?
Yes, I had.
Okay, but even though you sent her the information, you got the email following up, telling you to follow instructions.
Yes, I did.
Had you done, far as anybody pointed out to you, the city attorney or anybody else, that you had done anything wrong up to that point?
No.
Although you hadn't been informed by anybody else that you had done anything wrong, did Councilman Hudson continue to come at you about that situation?
Yes. She said that, once again, I was in violation of the Open Meeting Act. As the municipal clerk, I was bound by ethical standards that govern and conduct public officials. They included principles of transparency, honesty, and accountability, and that I had an ethical obligation to give her these records. So what I did was I sent to Councilwoman Hudson, along with the video of the meeting again, and I quoted the Georgia Open Meetings Law, executive session minutes. I quoted what it said about the executive session minutes, and they would have to go to court to get them. On March the 21st, Councilmember Hudson came and filed a complaint against the members of the board that had heard her complaint, and filed another complaint against Councilmember Heath. Then on March the 28th, I received another email from Councilmember Hudson. She stated she had issues with the affidavit that I had sent to her, that she said by neglecting the law, my actions suggested an attempt to evade transparency a responsibility that cannot be compromised.
Okay, I want to stop you. Have you since looked back or had anybody look at the affidavit that you sent her?
Yes, I've sent
Okay,
it to
well,
the
did
attorney.
anybody else find fault with that affidavit that you sent her?
No, it's the affidavit we use.
Okay, but although no one else, she, I guess, rebuked and criticized you about sending her that affidavit, correct?
Yes,
Okay, but when you consulted with others, nobody else had a problem or saw anything wrong with what you had sent, correct?
no.
All right, go further.
She further said that violations of the open records law could result in fines, even imprisonment. She went on to tell me how serious
I'm
this.
sorry. How did you take that? How did you personally take that being sent to you?
I took it as a threat.
Okay. And later on, the mayor brought an action about her, on your behalf, trying to protect you about what he thought he saw going on between you and the council member, correct?
Well, that was later.
That was later. But these are the things that are building up to that, right?
Yes.
Right, go ahead, ma'am.
Well, so on March the 29th, the city attorney responded to Councilmember Hudson and gave his legal opinion on that. Of course, she responded that that was misapplication of the law. On March the 31st,
On whose behalf? Misapplication of the law.
of the attorney's behalf.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. On March the 31st, I sent an email to the city attorney and the mayor stating that I was aware of my duties and responsibilities, and I felt that I was being harassed with Councilmember Hudson's opinions that were not facts. And as the clerk, I did have a right to talk to the city attorney, however, I did not. And that I was sick of seeing her podcast because she was still spreading untrue opinions about me, and I had not violated the Open Meetings Act, nor had I attempted to evade transparency.
Excuse me, when you say it had a negative opinion about you, I think I'm summarizing. What did the podcast display you as having done or said which was incorrect or negative?
I'm violating open records.
Okay.
I'm not giving the open records.
And nobody has found that to be true, is that correct?
No.
But she continued to say that online.
Right, because the open records that she spoke about earlier, wanting the opera and all that, that was not sent to me. That was sent to the city administrator. That was not sent as an open records to the city clerk's office. That was sent to the city administrator. They did not release whatever she was asking for. If an open records is sent to our office, we do whatever we need to do to fill that open records request.
All right, go ahead, ma'am.
On April the 1st, Mayor Avery sent an email to Councilwoman Hudson asking her to stop falsely accusing me of violating the Open Records Act and asked her to refrain.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to stop you, I just want to ask you. That's what, he sent that, a letter to her telling her to stop harassing you, correct?
Yes.
Now, let me ask you for clarification. Did you in fact feel harassed?
Did I feel harassed?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
He asked her to refrain from making additional demands and threats on the city clerk because everything said something about fines or imprisonment or violating the Open Records Act. So, of course, Councilwoman Hudson responded. I kept all of these. On April the 2nd, Councilwoman Hudson sent me and asked for a list of the investigative committee. On the 2nd, she sent another email, again, of her March the 31st request. And then on April the 4th, she sent me an email with her concerns again, and her concerns had to do with the agenda packet, that we had not put the right people, I put the accusers on the agenda, but this was actually a different case. On April the 14th, the city attorney explained all of that. So on May the 1st, Councilmember Hudson submitted a formal complaint against me with the Georgia Attorney General's office. She said that I was in violation of the Georgia Open Records Act. I was obstruction of elected official rights and unethical conduct in managing records, that I unlawfully refused to provide executive session minutes to her, despite the lawful entitlement, that I obstructed transparency by assisting the mayor in concealing information from lawful inquiry. She asked them to have an ethical investigation against me. She asked that they have an open and record investigation against me and that they mandate training and potential administration penalties against me. On July the 23rd, Councilmember Hudson asked that my assistant be the one to work with her because she had heard some disparaging things against me. I heard her say that I resigned. Yes, I did. I resigned, and I took it back. And the reason I took it back was because when you filed the report with the Attorney General's office, I was not going to leave out here without clearing my name. It had nothing to do with Clayton County. I'm not going, I never been there. I worked at Clayton County before. I wasn't finna go to Clayton County, so I ain't talked to nobody at Clayton County. But she said I was disrespectful and that anybody that was on the mayor's administration who engages in speech or conduct that aims to portray her as a problem or interferes with the execution of her duties without evidence was subject to formal complaint and legal action. So on July the 24th, I filed the complaint with HR, and I told them that I felt that I was getting constant harassment with emails regarding my relationship with the mayor, constant lies and defamation of my character in emails, on Facebook, and even to the Attorney General. Discrimination of my age, creating a hostile work environment, constant retaliation against me because of my relationship with the mayor. Then in August, it was sent to me, someone sent to me a copy of the letter that the mayor had sent to Councilwoman Hudson regarding the EEO charge and said that they were both on Facebook. They sent me a copy of that. I didn't know that the mayor had written a letter because I was not in an executive session because the executive session was regarding me, so I could not be in there. That's why we're here.
Okay. Is that, so, and that's what you know about Ms. Hudson, and that's been your relationship with Ms. Hudson?
Yes.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Is there anything else you would like to share before
I received, when I filed my EEO, I will say this, I did receive a letter from HR who told me that they had received my complaint, but they also told me that I would like to take the opportunity to remind you that the contents of this investigation and any topics relating to it are confidential and will not be disclosed, and will be disclosed only to the individuals who have a legitimate business need to raise it. Now, I never talked about it because we are told that personnel matters are confidential, and I would not have wanted all the staff to know that it had come to this point that I had to file a EEO against
Who
council
informed the rest of the staff that you filed?
it was on Facebook,
Whose Facebook?
Councilwoman Hudson's Facebook.
All right, thank you. No further questions.
I'm fine.
Mario Williams, Hudson.
Yes, sir.
I'm just going to ask you a few questions. Okay, the first thing I want to know is you just referred to a HR document that was sent to you. Who signed that?
HR Director,
Who is that?
Talisha Champagne.
Do you know if Ms. Champagne sent a letter to Councilwoman Hudson?
No, I don't know that.
Okay. Any idea if Ms. Champagne had already sent you a letter saying it was an investigation? Do you have any idea why Mario Avery took it upon himself to, on August 6th, to send out another letter?
Well, this was sent to me because I filed it. This had nothing to do with sending it to council. This
Right.
was to me because I filed it in HR.
That's right. And HR handles those matters, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I know you documented and you said that she filed a complaint with the AG that included you. And then, did you ever get word that that complaint was dismissed?
Yes, I did.
Did she ever contact you again after the complaint was dismissed?
No, I don't think we've talked since July.
So she files a complaint against you, it's dismissed by the AG, and then she stopped talking to you.
Right after that was when she asked that my assistant be the person to work with her and not me.
Okay, so you had no contact once the AG resolved the issue and said, we're not going forward.
Right.
And did you ask for any particular, I'm not gonna talk about the whole personnel. Are you charged with understanding the City of Fairburn's personnel policy? Are you charged with having to understand it and have read it?
We have to read it, yes.
Okay.
But now, if I had to just sit here and tell you everything was in it, I couldn't do that. But yes, we do have to read it.
Well, let me ask you this. How long were you working with the City of Fairburn?
This will be my 9th year.
Had you ever seen the personnel policy be applied to a city council person in your 9 years there prior to Ms. Hudson?
I don't remember anybody being in the situation I'm in either.
Have you ever, did you get any training? Do you ever receive any training that the personnel policy does not apply to a city council person?
Well, I can't say it doesn't apply to them. The policy applies to me as an employee, and an employee being harassed, whether it's from you or who, the policy applies to me.
Did you ever get any training that told you that elected officials are expressly excluded from policy coverage?
No.
Okay. Now, did you ever ask for any remedy from the HR, like, hey, this is the result of it?
I talked to HR once before I sent this, before I sent the EEO. I talked to HR, and then after I got this, I sent this to HR, and it was supposed to have been, someone was supposed to contact me about this so that we could talk about it, but then this case came up, so I haven't met with anybody yet about it.
And in the documentation that you submitted to HR, did you actually propose the remedy that you wanted? What did you want to see happen?
I wanted to be able to do my job without being harassed.
Did you ever ask for Ms. Hudson to be removed from office?
No.
Do you think that's an appropriate penalty in this case?
Well, I'm not going to answer that.
Okay. So you're not going to answer, it means you're not going to say yes or no.
That's right. That won't be my decision.
Okay. That's it. Appreciate your patience.
I just want to ask, can I take a few minutes?
Sure.
Is that okay?
It's okay with me.
Either of y'all have any more witnesses?
No, I don't.
Then then why don't we stop? We're done with 4, so we'll move to 5 when y'all come back. Okay.
Can I go?
You outranked me, you don't need my.
Calling the meeting to order again, please. Thank you. I'm going to defer to the attorney here in reference to the number 5, the impeachment counsel.
So I think where we took a break was we were at the end of agenda item number 4, which was the close of the respondent's case. The next item is the impeachment counsel and special impeachment counsel questions. This is the opportunity if any member of the council has a question for any of the witnesses. If you have any questions you want to ask.
No.
It also gives us the opportunity to ask. I have one that I think will be relatively straightforward. It is actually for Council Member Hudson. It is Exhibit C in the binder, the white binder. Exhibit C is the complaint that the mayor filed against you. It had an attachment that says when transparency is replaced with silencing tactics.
Yes.
That was your post, right?
Talking about, yes.
Okay, that's my only question. I have nothing else, so I would suggest that we then move to statements by adversely affected persons. That would be an opportunity for anyone who believes themselves adversely affected by the events in question to give sworn testimony regarding them. Is there anyone who would like to give sworn testimony in that regard? Okay. Then, Mr. Mayor, I would suggest that we move to closing arguments. I would suggest that we give the respondent the choice of whether to close first or second.
We will now have the closing arguments, and if you don't mind, please speak into the microphone. My worksperson said that we're not getting all the stuff that we needed. Thank you. You have 15 minutes each.
Thank you, members. I'm going to now do my closing. And so members of the board, this hearing must not be used as a political weapon or a platform for personal vendettas. Your role is to uphold the integrity of this institution and to ensure that elected officials conduct themselves in accordance with the law and the ethical duties entrusted to them. Either City Council Hudson fundamentally misunderstands the legal and ethical framework that governs the city, or she has willfully chosen to disregard it. In either case, her actions fall outside the scope of the ethical public service. We respectfully ask you to review the record, the correspondence, and the governing legal standards, and when you do, the facts will be clear on what needs to be done. I just for 2 points of clarification of what was mentioned to this council earlier. EEOC complaints that the city clerk filed is to protect the employees, not the elected officials. There was a lot of talk about that. That policy is not to protect elected officials. It is strictly to protect employees. When Mayor Avery sent the letter to the councilmember Hudson, City Attorney Rory Starkey sent an email to Hudson as well. It's in your binder. You have that in evidence. It's in your binder. Sent an email to Ms. Hudson stating that she should this situation, that the situation should be confidential and not expressed in public. She sent an email August the 7th that she would not comply. So this is not something that is in happenstance or a misunderstanding. She was told by the city mayor not to do something specifically. She said, I'm not going to comply. And so for the purposes of my argument in this case, I will say this. It is with much regret that I find myself here doing this procedure to impeach Ms. Hudson. I don't take any pride in this, nor do I like this at all. I'm doing this because, as I was hired and explained to me, the city has duties and cities that it is trying to carry out and protect. And in order to do that, you have to have a functioning, smooth-running council and government to do that. I think from the actions that have been put forth in front of this this committee, it is clear that her actions are prohibiting the normal activities of a city council and how it's supposed to operate, and it's rendering it ineffective. Thus, we would ask the court to agree with what we're asking for and impeach it in this case. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Sorry, I speak softly. I'm glad we have this microphone. So I've already talked about the policy, the express statement actually by the city saying we know that people such as you are not express language that you're not governed. And I know Ms. James said, well, on the back end, it's me as an employee, but at the end of the day, you really can't get around that, and they provided no evidence to demonstrate that the policy says anything other than city council members are not covered by this personnel policy that was used to invoke this investigation. Now, the whole issue, my colleague says, well, I just want you to go by the law and the rules, and then he said up here something that I thought we got to really think about. He says, well, Mr. Williams coming up here talking about how this happened before it was on an agenda, no vote, and saying, point me to a regulation or rule or ordinance that says she couldn't do it if it wasn't on the agenda, no vote. And then he tried to say, well, show me where she could do it. Now, that's not my burden. His burden, looking to remove a public official, is show you where she couldn't do it, and he didn't do that. He failed in that. He failed in that. He never presented one piece of evidence, number one, to say she wasn't expressly exempt from the chart, from the policy that they used to invoke the investigation. He never showed you, hey, if this isn't on an agenda, if it's not on this, voted on, and if it's not actually discussed, and she did this before, he never showed. His best response to that was, put it back, the burden back on Mario and have him show you where the law says she could do it. So he failed twice on the first burden, the second burden, but I do want to address the substance. Just in case you all say, hey, Mr. Williams, you're going to have to take that up on appeal. Let's talk about the substance of the allegations. Number one, you know, Ms. James said, hey, I never even requested that she be removed from office. Now, she's the complainant. Then, and I know because I have served, hey, when people are upset, and I do employment law all the time, hey, do you want her to be impeached and be removed from office? I'm not going to answer that. When you're mad, you say, oh, yeah, get her up on out of here. That wasn't her position. Now, having done opponent research for former Congressman John Lewis and been around this for a long time, Kasim Reed, everybody, this is a tough arena. People complain about you. I was called, getting text messages right before council meeting, called every name in the book, had other city mayors and city councilmen, hey, Mario, we're gonna go against you on this and that. It happens. I'm not saying it's right, but it forges out due process and it forges out results. The city of Fairburn is effective. What he wants you to do is punish her. Not necessarily for the interchange between Miss James. He wants you to punish her because she's gone against some of you all. Now, I know it doesn't feel good to get an ethics complaint filed on you. That's not cool. I know that people are thinking, hey, what are you doing? We're colleagues. Like I said, this is a difficult situation, but what I wanted you all to consider, if you say, hey, I'm not sure about the first two arguments, removal for office is not appropriate for a situation that actually died off after the AG said, hey, we're not dealing with this, never contacted her again, but Mr. Avery pursued forward. For somebody who never even requested to go for impeachment. So what I ask you to do, respectfully, because I know how this, it's just difficult. I know your job's difficult, and you're underpaid and underappreciated. But I'm asking you, if you are going to impose a penalty, which I don't think should be done here, because I don't think it was lawful to even have Ms. Hudson, City Councilwoman Hudson, governed by that policy in the first place. But if you are, it shouldn't be removal. It shouldn't be taken, because what you're really doing is you're negating a choice by your residents. So in my opinion, that has to be way up here. I mean, you got to get high to take that type of step. So I'm asking you to consider that, and I'll leave you at that. Thank you.
With a conclusion of closing statements, it would now be appropriate if there's a motion to go into executive session for deliberation.
So moved. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. We're back in open session
Coming back to order.
and, back to order, yes. All right, you make a motion, in the decision as to impeach. All in favor, say aye.
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 Not to impeach. Impeach has it. Thank you.
Adjourn.
We call for adjournment.
So moved.
Thank you. Aye, everybody.
Do you need these notebooks back?